Thanks for joining us today. I'm Jill Brown here in the Weather Channel Forecast Center. Rough weekend for much of the U.S. and the Bahamas for that matter. We're going to cover Hurricane Lily in a few minutes, but we want to start in the Northeast. We have another nor'easter on our hands, and this could mean no baseball in New York City this weekend, that's for sure. Let me show you what's going on. We'll start off with a close-up of the storm, and you can see this area of low pressure right along the coastline, and it is really stationary at this time, so don't expect this one to zip off to the northeast in any hurry and clear things out anytime over the weekend. Our best bet would be maybe for a time cloudy skies and drizzle, but I don't think we're going to be seeing much of the sun. On the north side of the storm, of course, onshore breeze. On the back side of the storm, brisk west wind, and that's actually already being felt all the way up into southern New Jersey, and you may have been getting some breaks of sunshine there. Let's take a look at the latest flood watches, and they are out expecting maybe anywhere from 5 to 8 inches of rain before the storm system winds down from coastal Connecticut, across Long Island, back through Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and all the way down into Delaware and parts of Maryland. Flash flood watches. And by the way, take note of this. Possibility of a little bit of snow there on the peaks of the mountains in West Virginia. So there's some cold air that's coming in on the backside of the storm system. It's fortunately not too cold where we are to the north of this storm with all that moisture coming in from the Atlantic. And you'll notice that the rain is heavy. Dark green and yellow indicates the heaviest rain. Temperatures are in the mid to upper 50s. The wind chill in some areas is actually in the 30s, though, because the winds are gusting in some places up to 50 miles per hour. Bridgeport, Connecticut, here along the coast, we had reports of a wind gust to 51 miles per hour this last half hour. And you can see this whole band of rain is shifting to the north slowly. That might give you some hope, but don't hold out too much hope for dry weather. It looks like a very wet weekend. They did have dry conditions on Long Island for a time there. Mike Seidel was standing by, but now you're in that band of heavy rain, Mike. Wind chills in the 40s. How's your day going so far? Oh,
it's lovely out here. We had our fresh bagels this morning, Jill. I'm good to go until midnight tonight. We're getting heavy rains right now. The wind is still howling in from the east-northeast. The surf is crashing, pounding the beaches here, which is not the usual case here on the North Shore of Long Island. We're looking out towards the Bay Area, and you can see the white caps and the very, very dangerous seas. There are no boats out on the water, obviously, today. A very dangerous situation. Tides will be coming in this afternoon. We expect tides to be running 3 to 5 feet above normal. More heavy rainfalls lashing out at the tri-state area. We've already had reports of power outages in and around the area. Most of those have been down on the Jersey Shore in Monmouth and Ocean counties, but as the winds continue to whip up and the ground is wet, that is a perfect prescription for uprooting trees. So we're going to have certainly more trees blown down, and when those trees go down over power lines, that means some of you will lose your power this afternoon right on through Sunday. Really whipping up now, the wind and the rain hitting me. It feels like sand hitting me in the face as we're getting one of those heavier rain squalls, Jill.
Well, Mike, I guess so much for the fall foliage. Are you having problems with flooding, maybe those leaves blocking up some of the drains?
Yeah, that's right. All these leaves are getting blown down. It seems like it always happens that in a couple of storms in October here, you get a lot of rain and wind and the leaves get blown down. And then the heavy rain washes these leaves into the drains. The drains get clogged up. Many intersections in and around, we've heard of several in and around the New York City metro area, are blocked with water. That's slowing traffic down. Around the Belt Parkway, too, on the South Shore, some flooding there. And there are bridge restrictions on the GW Bridge because of high winds. This is aimed certainly at the high-profile vehicles, Jill. When you're up that high, these winds are really whipping around. You get some crosswinds, that's very dangerous. So a lot of problems, and it's only going to get worse through this afternoon and tonight as we expect the winds to pick up, and even more rain will cause more localized flooding. So take it easy. Traffic reports today are a mile long. There are so many accidents around the area, all the way from Fairfield County in Connecticut out here to Long Island and over into the Jersey suburbs.
Sounds like a good weekend to stay inside. Mike, why don't you do that in the next half hour, and then we'll check back with you. In the meantime, we'll check on watches and warnings in the area. Winds are expected to stay very strong, maybe even gain some strength in the next few hours. We do have gale warnings and storm warnings in effect. Let's take a look at those now. Anywhere from the Merrimack River, Massachusetts, all the way down to Virginia Beach. Again, it's going to depend on exactly where you are in relation to that area of low pressure, whether it's an onshore wind, which will be really from about New York City northward, to an offshore wind across southern New Jersey and all the way down to Virginia Beach. Offshore wind, obviously the better of the two, because then you don't have to worry about the coastal flooding. Coastal flood warnings are in effect, and with basically a northeasterly wind blowing through here, Great Peconic Bay right through here, and western Long Island Sound. Those could be some of the areas where the worst of the flooding does occur, and of course the worst of that will be about the time of high tide. How about that forecast then for Sunday? Doesn't look much better. You notice our area of low pressure goes from here basically over New Jersey or eastern Pennsylvania to just off the coast, and that rain is likely to kind of wrap around the backside. Any hope for baseball? I know that's a big question in a lot of people's minds. We're looking at the moisture vapor loop here. Where you see the darkest colors, that's where the driest air is. And it really looks promising when you just look at this, because you can see that band of rain appears to be lifting to the north here. However, our upper level low is back about here. Our surface low is about there. And it looks like as this moisture lifts to the north, eventually it'll also wrap back around. So unfortunately, while we may see a few breaks and it may taper down to drizzle, even if we get some drier weather, it's going to remain windy and chilly and raw through the weekend. So it really doesn't look very promising for baseball in New York City, but we'll keep you up to date on that. In the meantime, let's move away from the northeast, take you back down south, and talk about Hurricane Lily. Actually a stronger hurricane now than it was just a few hours ago, now that it has bypassed the Bahama Islands and moving back out over warmer waters. Let's take a look at the satellite picture with this, and we want to mention before we move in any closer, here's our area of low pressure in the northeast. Here's our hurricane. They almost appear to be connected. The big question at this point is, will some of this moisture from Hurricane Lily get wrapped up and around this area of low pressure and increase the rain even more? That would be a very bad scenario. Fortunately, the forecast takes Hurricane Lily off to the northeast, well south of Bermuda. If that does happen, that should hopefully relieve us of seeing even heavier rain in the northeast. So we'll keep our fingers crossed on that. Here are the stats on Lily. Winds, notice 115 miles per hour now. That's a major hurricane. It is moving fast to the east-northeast at 25 miles per hour. Hurricane warnings in the Bahamas should be coming down very soon this afternoon. Winds and seas should be calming down over the next few hours, and it looks like, as we take a look at our wind field, that even the tropical storm force winds should be dying down there in the Bahamas. As it moves out over open water, we're going to watch Bermuda very closely, but the current track takes Hurricane Lily well to the south of Bermuda sometime on into Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon. So good news there, but we'll keep an eye on it. In the meantime, you want to hear about some snow? We'll take you back to the studio.
Thanks, Jill. The Pacific Northwest is getting its first taste of wintry weather on this October weekend. The Cascade Mountains in Washington State are covered by as much as a foot of snow today. Interstate 90 at Snoqualmie Pass reopened Friday afternoon after being closed several hours. Expect more road problems today as the snow continues to fall in the region. Cold, unstable air sweeping in off the Pacific, and we'll take a look first off at the national view, and you can see that there are three basic areas of interest in the weather today. Three stories: Hurricane Lily and the nor'easter that Jill was telling us about. And in the west, the precipitation, snow in the higher elevations, light rain at the lower elevations. In between, high pressure providing a lot of sunshine, but nonetheless chilly weather for you from Chicago down to New Orleans. Here's a look at our first radar stop, and there are some light rain showers in coastal sections of Oregon State. Continued light snow falling around the Spokane area, and on over into Montana, where Livingston, Great Falls, and Missoula, Montana, all reporting light snow at this hour. Some snow falling now into sections, higher elevations of Wyoming, and back into Utah, where Ogden, Utah is reporting a mix of rain and snow at this hour. Moderate rain falling at Salt Lake City. Here's a look at the temperatures across the country, or the temperature departure from normal. Chilly in the east with that high pressure producing temperatures of 5 to 10 degrees below normal over much of the east, and temperatures out ahead of that advancing cold front a little bit warmer than you would expect for this time of year. Right now it's 51 in Chicago, 60 in New York, and 68 degrees at Orlando. What's in store for us? Well, first off, in the northeast, that low pressure area very slowly moving on off to the northeast. So as Jill was noting earlier, look for continued wet weather to be a problem for the northeast, and flooding to still be a lingering threat. Meanwhile, Saturday afternoon we'll find that low pressure area tracking on through the northern plains, and as it does, it'll be pulling the cold air and wrapping the Pacific moisture down into the mountain areas of Colorado on into Wyoming. By Sunday morning, look for cold rain to be falling over eastern portions of the Dakotas, and Sunday afternoon showers beginning to develop out ahead of that frontal system as it makes its way into the southern plains. There could be across the northeast locally heavy downpours, total rainfall amounts through midnight of better than 5 inches, lighter amounts in the west, with some snow as much as 6 to 12 inches in the higher elevations from north central Utah on up into western portions or southwestern portions of Wyoming. Well, stay with us. We'll have complete details on your local forecast coming up next year on the Weather Channel, so don't go away.
I have a vine.